Hello, my name is Joe Wood. I am Natomas Charter School's Executive Director, and with me today is, I'll let you go ahead and
Stephanie
introduce.
Archibald, principal.
So thank you for joining us on this recording. Last night was back to school night here on the Black Rock campus. And so today what we're doing is we're just kind of going through a little recording of the presentation that we had for parents at the end of the evening for anyone who was not able to attend. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started here by sharing my screen and bringing up the presentation from last night. All right, here we are. And then put this in slideshow mode. There we go. All right. So as I mentioned, my name is Joe Wood. I'm Natomas Charter School's Executive Director, but I'm also a parent. I have a son who is a senior at the Performing and Fine Arts Academy. So tonight, for those of you that are middle school parents, I guess think a little bit like I'm coming to you from the future and talking a little bit about what it's like to have a high school student in my home and that sort of entire experience and how to get you ready. So at Natomas Charter School, whether your child is in TK or kindergarten all the way through high school, we always we like to think that our work is really about apprenticing students for adulthood. And so this particular quote happened to come across on social media, but I think it's kind of resonant that, healthy birds leave the nest. And so all of us, whether we're educators or parents, we're really about preparing kids for life after high school or life, through college and career and outside of our homes. Natomas Charter School was started 33 years ago. We're actually one of the oldest and most successful charter schools in the state. And our school was started by two middle school teachers who were teachers in Natomas. And they were really looking for an opportunity to create a school that was a little bit different than what had previously existed. And so our school was founded on three pillars. The first one being students first, the idea that all of our decisions are really focused on, what's best for kids. The second is innovation, which is really the concept that we're going to be making changes and doing things different to figure out how we better serve kids. And the last one being accountability. And for us, accountability is this idea that when we see a problem, we own a problem, we sort of take care of the problem. And so those three things combined, or those three pillars combined, lead us to something that we refer to as the NCS guarantee. So here at Natomas Charter School, we don't just invite students to come to school and learn. We're really focused on how we're going to guarantee that they're going to make academic progress. And our goal is always that, for every year, a student is making at least 1 year's worth of academic progress in each of their subject areas. If you came to back to school night last night, or if you've been on our campus since the start of the school year, you might have seen these posters floating around. It says excelling together, every educator, every student, every day. That has actually been our theme or our mantra for the year. And one of the things that I really wanted to call out last night at back to school night and today in this recording is that when we say every educator, we're including you as well. You are your child's first educator, and you will continue to educate them for the rest of their lives. And so when we're talking about excelling together, parents for us are really part of that process. I mentioned that Natomas Charter School was established by two middle school teachers trying to do something different. And one of those pieces was that it was an acknowledgement that in order for student achievement to really be accelerated, it requires three entities working together: the school, the family, and the student. So we refer to this as our three-way compact. It's our agreement that all three entities are going to work together. And when we work together well, we really accelerate student achievement. When one of these entities is unavailable or is sort of not as engaged in the process, we really see that student achievement struggles. And so part of why that's so important is that if you think of all of the minutes that are in the current calendar year, your students actually going to only be at school about 15% of those minutes. The remainder of their time, they're at home. Maybe they're asleep. That's an important aspect of life, especially in childhood. They're engaged in morning and afternoon activities. They're also engaged in activities on the breaks and weekends. And so our commitment at Natomas Charter School is that 14 to 15% of those minutes that we're talking about, we're going to make them as amazing as we possibly can. However, in order for those minutes to be really successful, we do need kids to, come to school that have had a good night's sleep, have breakfast in their tummy, or at least here early enough that they can have breakfast as part of our school, and that, they're engaged in activities at home which really support their overall learning at school. As one example of the importance of those groups working together is when we look at our standardized test scores, also referred to as CASP scores, by attendance. So this is last year's scores. These are our school-wide scores, so all of the academies combined. But you can see they're broken down, each scores, whether you're looking at English or math, are broken down into basically 5 bars. And those bars are how many days of instruction or how many days of school those students missed. So students in the purple bar, they basically missed 3 or fewer days of school. Students in the red bar missed about between 4 and 7 days of school. Students in the green bar missed between like 8 and 11 days of school, and so on, until you get to the red bar, which is students who are chronically absent. And chronically absent means that they've missed 10% or more of the school year, roughly 18 days. And so you can see, just looking at this data, students that are here most of the time, they're kind of in that 0 to 3 range, they are doing significantly better than students who are absent more often. And so I want to be clear, like, if your child is sick, we encourage this children to stay at home, because sick children just make other children sick. And ultimately, sick children need to stay at home so they can take care of themselves and get better. However, if you see that great deal on a cruise, or there's lift tickets that are discounted in the middle of the week, we are asking parents to please make sure your kids are coming to school. While those opportunities are awesome and compelling in a lot of different ways, when students don't come to school, they really do miss out on their learning, and they really do fall behind academically. So I mentioned that, at the start of this presentation, that this year we're really focused on parent partnerships and how are we working together. And so this year we're really asking families to work with our school in 3 areas. First, connect. So, get to know your child's teachers. They're your partner. Connect with other families. Be part of our campus community. Please send positive messages about all subject areas. I know we all have subjects that we didn't necessarily love in middle and high school, but we really want you to be a champion of every single subject that your student is involved in. The next area is contribute to the school. So one way that you can contribute to the school is honestly limiting your child's screen time and really making sure that they're engaging in pro-social activities, such as playing sports. Maybe they're being actively involved in clubs, they're doing things with their church, whatever that might be. But one of the things I talked about last night is that, I was a former technology director. And so as the former technology director, I'm a huge advocate of students not having technology in their bedrooms. Students don't need phones in their bedrooms. They don't need iPads in their bedrooms. They don't need Chromebooks or TVs in their bedrooms. And we really see here at school that limiting screen time is really, really important to their development. Now, we understand we live in a digital world, and to get rid of all technology seems a little unrealistic. But at the same time, we want to limit it and really model for our students what's an appropriate use of technology, both at home and at school. A second area is establishing norms and routines. Students who don't have norms and routines at home really struggle with the norms and routines at school. And so those really go hand in hand. Making sure your kid is engaged in some homework every night. And even if they tell you, I don't have any homework, they can always engage in independent reading to build those reading skills and reading muscles, and engage in some math activities, even if it's simple as playing a game of Yahtzee with you and working on their math facts. There's always opportunities to work on our math and reading skills. And then the last area is championing our school. So I mentioned we have a 33-year history, and it's a 33 history of strong results. That's because we have had a strong parent community throughout those 3 decades, and we'd like to continue that. So please be involved in our school. Volunteering, being on our campus, it really matters. And lastly, as a parent and as an educator, I know sometimes kids come home and they have stories that seem really discombobulated and slightly crazy. And so when your child comes home and tells you a story, maybe about something that another student did in class or something they heard from their teacher, first of all, assume positive intent. Assume there's probably more to the story. Know that, teachers, educators, we have the same desires and wishes for your kids that you do. And so when you hear something that seems a little confusing, doesn't make sense, just send an email to the teacher or to your principal and say, hey, I heard this story and something seems a little amiss here. Can you let me know what's going on? And we'd be happy to work with you on that. The last thing, I joked at the beginning, think of me as a visitor from the future, since I have a high school senior this year. But we're thinking a little bit about what have been really great resources for me as a parent. And so these are 4 books that I have found to be really helpful being a parent and an educator. All of them have been out for a few years, so you should be able to find them on Amazon for an inexpensive use price. But the first one, How to Raise an Adult. This was written by a former Stanford admissions officer, talking really about what she found as being how students could be prepared for adulthood. All of you that are leading edge parents, you're navigating the teenage years, which are the years that you're going to love your children dearly, but you might not always like everything they do. And so something that is a really good resource is the Teenage Brain, which is really talking about brain development in these years. Also, Parenting with Love and Logic. Here at Natomas Charter School, we use something called PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, as our kind of a model around student discipline. And Parenting with Love and Logic really is kind of the at-home approach, has a similar framework. And then finally, if you happen to have a boy in your household, Rescuing Our Sons by John Duffy is a really great resource. He's a clinical psychologist who's done a lot of work with teenage boys and kind of the supports they need. And something that's really concerning this moment in the United States is that outcomes for boys are not as strong as they are for girls. And so really trying to understand that and how we can better support our sons in our household. So just, 4 resources that are available that are out there for you. So with that, I'm going to actually hand it over to Mrs. Archibald, who's going to talk a little bit more about Leading Edge. And Mrs. Archibald, just let me know when you want me to move the slides forward.
For sure. Yeah, well, hello. It's nice to see you. If I haven't met you yet, I'm Mrs. Archibald. I'm the new principal at Leading Edge, and I'm just going to jump in and kind of build on what was shared already. This is our acronym ROCK. Your student has been learning a lot about this. This is part of our PBIS program here on campus, and it stands for Responsibility, Ownership, Collaboration, and Kindness. And it really embodies what we want for students as they show up on campus and their presence here, and just how they deal with different situations. And so we have been taking them through lessons in different spaces to demonstrate expectations. And then you might have heard a little bit about rock tickets. They get rock tickets that come home, and then they can earn rewards and different things throughout the school year. So we've been spending a lot of great time on that. And hopefully you've heard a little bit about it. If not, ask your student. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Thank you. We're your partner here in supporting your child through their education. And I just want to encourage you to connect with your teachers. Communicate with them, email with them, other ways to be involved here on campus, attending parent-teacher conferences, looking for special events, attending sporting events, volunteering. I know I've got a few teachers who've reached out and asked for parents to come volunteer in the classroom or making copies, lots of different ways. All of those little things really make a difference in the way our school runs. And you are such an important part of their education. So we really look forward to seeing you around campus helping out. Also, field trips. We have field trips coming up. You have to get fingerprinted ahead of time. So, if you're planning on trying to be a chaperone, please plan ahead. If you have some concerns, I always would like you to connect with teachers first. Send an email, call the teacher, try to connect with them and see if you can figure out what's going on. If you need support, I'm happy to be alongside you and support you through that process. And if for some reason you're not able to figure out what's going on with that teacher, I'm happy to support as well. Again, always assume positive intent and, ask questions, be curious, and empower your student to be an advocate for themselves. While we're going through these really transformational middle school years, it's so important that we give our students the skills to reach out to those teachers instead of, sending an email just on their behalf because there's this missing assignment and you don't know what's going on and your child doesn't have the answer. Sit with them and say, oh, this is a great opportunity. Let's sit down and write this email together. And so you have the child log on, they can do it. And this is giving them those skills that they're going to need as they move up into high school. And we're just supporting them and learning how to advocate. You also please get your child to school on time. I know we've got some kiddos coming in right at the last minute, so plan ahead. Traffic is busy, especially with all the construction. You can use the different systems to check on academic progress. So we have Schoology. That's where you're going to see all those assignments from teachers. You're going to see their grades there. And, check in with your student, make sure they've got a quiet place to do homework. You've set up those routines so they can come home, get done with the things that they need to do. And, connecting back with us if you need us. Connect with your student to celebrate success. If they struggled really hard on a project and then they got a B on it, you can celebrate, hey, you worked really hard on this. Even though you got a B, you put in a lot of effort. And so, just trying to find ways to encourage them and remind them that sometimes you fail when you try things. And, middle school, there will be those failures. There's a lot of, challenges, both academically, socially, a lot of development physically. It's a crazy time. And so, being alongside to help them kind of see the good things as well is really beneficial. Technology is a huge thing as well. As a principal, I see a lot of instances where kids have devices and there's pictures or videos, and then they get posted somewhere. And even if it's not something that's like compromising, sometimes it makes a student feel a certain way that they're like, oh, I don't want that picture of me out there. And then things escalate really quickly. And like these conversations are so important. And it's very important for you to spend time with your student, kind of talking about, how to manage those things. If your child is on social media, which I hope they're not, it's much better to wait till high school. As a parent myself, waiting as long as you can is beneficial because it keeps them out of some of those challenges that maybe their brain isn't ready for. But have those conversations about devices, have boundaries, know the parent settings that you can have available for monitoring and all of those things. You really have to be intentional about this work with technology and kids, because otherwise they will definitely get ahead of us because they know more about technology than all of us, and they learn all of the tricks as parents anyway. So just a few things. I know I've spoken with some new parents that are new to Natomas Charter School, and they are a little overwhelmed with the different things that we have going on. So I just wanted to throw these out here. So we've got Power School. That's where we have your student information. It's going to be your phone number, your email, all of those good things, and a lot of other information. But that's one of the ways that you kind of interact with that. Schoology is where you're going to see those assignments from teachers. You're going to see a lot of communications coming through there. I know Mr. Shane is sharing things about sports. There's information coming out about Tyco, all kinds of different things coming through Schoology. So look for those. Facebook, there are Facebook pages for leading edge parents or leading edge active parents, and also a Natomas Charter School leading edge page and a Natomas Charter School page as well. So there's 3 of those. That's another way to get information. I send weekly updates on Fridays. And then each grade level sends a monthly update as well. And teachers might send updates along the way if there are things that you need to know about their class. So there's a lot of information coming towards you. If you can, add us to your contact list if you get an email that comes through. So hopefully they don't get blocked. Sometimes things get marked as spam. And so we just want to encourage you to do that. So hopefully you can get all the emails from us. And lastly, not lastly, because there's one more, the Natomas Arts and Education Foundation, they are a partner here with Natomas Charter School. They support so many things here on campus, and in doing so, they do, they have lots of fundraisers. We have opportunities for teachers to apply for grants. They support all 5 academies, and there's some really big events that are some of the fundraisers that make up NAEF. And so we have Race for the Arts, which just happened last weekend. We have a night at the Kings game, and then we also have Big Day of Giving. And just be on the lookout. This is a really incredible partnership, and so many of the programs that we offer here we couldn't do without the partnership of NAEF. Finally, I want to just connect you with Leading Edge Active Parents. We have a parent group for Leading Edge, and they do such great things for our students and our staff. You've got some of the examples there. We have events that are fundraisers. And then we also have, they support staff appreciation, activities for kids, all kinds of different things. If we need it, we connect with them. They're great to support and really make things enriching for students. So in order to do that, there is fundraising involved. But you know what we need? We need parent leaders. We need parents to be a part of this group, because parent involvement is what makes the school strong and what helps us build that all-encompassing program where we have engaging and exciting things for kids. And so our next meeting is going to be September 4th at 5:30 at the Library Media Center here at Black Rock. and we hope to see you there. We are working on setting up our leadership team, and then we also have other positions, to volunteer just to help out with specific events. And even if you can't help a lot, maybe it's just being a person who's on call if maybe we need donations for next week or something. Having those different ways that you can contribute in whatever way that looks like for you is really beneficial. So even if you can't make it to every meeting, if you can make it to this one, or even just reach out and say, hey, I can do this, that will be beneficial, and we really appreciate it. And with that, I just want to launch us with a little quote. This reminder: alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be your partner and supporting your student in their growth this year and in the years going forward. Middle school is a challenge, and we have to have a partnership so we can work together as we get through this. Thank you so much.
So with that, we'll just say thank you for everyone who joined us last night at Back to School Night. And, as Ms. Archibald said, if you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to reach out. Have a great weekend.